Hey readers, this is Duke here for Horse News again. This is the final interview of the night, possibly. This is Sara Richards, as you know. So she can Bronyscot as well. Since we last spoke, which the video is up on the Horse News TV, hashtag Horse News MLP, or Horse News, hashtag Pony TV, rather, I should say. She's had some of the stuff she talked about released, and there's some more stuff coming out as well. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, totally. So I think since the last time we talked, Wizard of Oz thing I was still working on.
Yes.
So that's finally, Clover Press just got the first copies of that, so it's like finally becoming tangible, which is super exciting because I think during BronyCon I was fighting against the clock getting that done, so it's kind of nice to talk to you with a little bit more levity and a lot less stress.
Yes, and I don't have to bend down.
Yeah, totally.
Like one of those inflatable men.
No, it's okay because I was working and it was nice to kind of look up and stretch out my back. Yeah. But yeah, so that's all coming out soon. Follow Clover Press to see when those are finally being released, and I think all the Kickstarter stuff for that's going to be sent out soon. Did a bunch of watercolors for some of the contributors and everything too, and then hopefully if it goes well, they are thinking about maybe doing another one at some point.
Oh really? Okay.
So definitely support that if you can.
Yes, it's on Kickstarter. Cool. The first Kickstarter finished. I intended to get that interview up before the Kickstarter finished, but unfortunately that wasn't the case.
No worries.
Although you've probably still done it, they may open the second round of it.
Or tweet at them. Tell Clover Press that you're like, let's see.
Tell them we want a second one.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay.
On the second one.
So, so has anything else come out? You mentioned a few issues of Precious Magic and some other stuff as well, including the David Cronenberg. You did the cover for it, didn't you?
Some of the Rick and Morty ones?
Yes.
Mm-hmm, yep. So I did, let's see, there's the new Rick and Morty one-shot that came out for New York Comic Con. So that's out online somewhere.
Yes.
And Krombophilus Michael.
Yes.
I was like, I know there's a Cronenberg episode on Rick and Morty. But yeah, there's the Krombophilus Michael one has been out for a little while too. So that one's kind of floating around online as well.
Okay.
And other than that, I've been working on some covers for Napoleon Dynamite, which is like one of my favorite movies when I was, it still is one of my favorite movies. But
is that out yet?
They have comics of it. Yeah, I think issues 1 through 3 might be out. And then I've done some stuff for a comic called Star Pig, which is awesome. It's written by Delilah Ness Dawson. She's amazing. She writes a lot of Star Wars books. Star Pig's about a girl who is kidnapped by aliens, and then she becomes best friends with a giant psychic tardigrade, which is very cool. It's very 80s and 90s and nostalgia. And so I did 4 covers for them.
Awesome.
But then as far as ponies, I did, I think, I handed in 89 the other day.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus. I haven't told too many people that, so I'll hearing it first.
Exclusive here from the horse's mouth.
Yep, I'll be taking a little bit of a break from ponies as they go into season 10. I think they're going to have a lot of new artists kind of showing up in the comics. I've done about 90 covers. I need a little bit of a break. But that's not to say I'm totally done with ponies. So, just for right now, I won't be every single issue. I'll pop up here and there.
So can we have a figure maybe 1 every 3, 1 every 5?
Possibly, yeah. I'm not sure yet. It kind of depends on how season 10 goes. But you'll still have, Andy Price is definitely still going to be working on it. And I'm sure the other guys will be too. Tony's probably going to be on it still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 3 pretty big projects coming up. So one is a potential DC project.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to eat up a ton of time. I'll be doing a lot of interior stuff for that.
Can you give us any details of that?
I can't. I'm sorry. I haven't signed anything yet. Which also means I double can't say anything. But that I have also a couple personal projects coming out too, where I'll be writing a little bit of it and be doing an Oracle card set as well too. Cool. So lots to do.
Yeah, that's tons to do.
Yeah, totally.
So when is issue 89 out of the comics?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's probably gonna be a little bit though because I just handed that in a little while ago. Because I think 80. What was the one on my table? It's like 86, right?
Yeah, we're up to 86. So about March, April next year, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
I think the It cover that I did, that'll be out in January. So the one with like the two Mod Pie and Marble Pie and Pinky coming down. That was really fun.
Which issue was that for?
That's gonna be 87, I think, possibly. Maybe I might be wrong. Right. I'm trying to think because 88 and 89 kind of go together. Which those will be really fun. And the last cover that I did for now has an explosion on it because that's how I wanted to kind of end things for now. So yeah.
Okay. So you've obviously written stuff as well.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest influence? Have you got any new writing releases out later?
Let's see. So Tales for a Halloween Night, which is a collection.
That's the thing.
That's the other one. Yes. I did a short 15-page story in that where I wrote it and illustrated it, and I'm working on a pitch for the next volume. So I've got to solidify. I've got 2 stories. One is actually a horror story about a unicorn. So I don't know anything about these magical horses. So, so I've 2 stories I'm going to try to pitch to Sandy King. So hopefully that'll be in the next one. But definitely check out this latest volume because Andy Price has a story in there as well, and he wrote it, and it's so messed up. It's really good.
So this was just released just at Halloween.
Halloween, yep. So you can definitely get that online for sure. It's volume 5 that we're both in. Yeah.
So volume 6, when is that due to come out?
Probably another Halloween. Halloween away. It's usually pretty.
Presumably,
I hope so. Yeah.
It's just weird to think they only release them once a year.
I know, but it's the Carpenters, so they've got other things going on.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. John Carpenter, not David Cronenberg.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all good.
Okay. So
it's a long day.
Yeah, 9 hours. So, have you written anything and done the art for it as well? Together
for that Carpenter thing. I did the art and illustration, but I'm going to be putting together a collection of short ghost stories for Source Point Press, which is a really awesome company. I'm really excited to start working with, and it'll be stories that I write very much based off of like New England folk tales and like creepy, just spooky kind of things that I've kind of grown up with living in New Hampshire. And so excited for that. Gonna make it very, I guess, along the lines of like Edward Gorey's a huge influence for me. And like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was, one of my favorite books growing up. That'll be pretty cool.
So with the first issue of that, the first volume that you've done, volume 5. Was that what was the most challenging thing about that?
Lettering. I will never letter ever again. I will never ever letter again.
What is the challenge with lettering? Because usually people think it's just putting text in a bubble.
Yeah. First of all, you need to make sure all your settings are right on there, and I didn't realize that I had the spacing on all my word bubbles wrong, so that's why it kind of looks a little juvenile, I think. And also, they have a really good letterer there, and I had my own kind of beginner sort of I could take care of it.
What does lettering involve usually?
Oh my gosh! Well, first of all, vectoring, being able to do vectored
you actually have to
bubbles and everything. I can't do that. I can't. I can barely use digital.
Yes, I had a webcomic when I was younger for about 6 months.
Yeah,
I had no idea how to use. I just drew the bubbles manually.
Yeah. I should have done that at least. I did a real cop-out version where I made everything just a square, like a recording box, like the girl was recording her story as she went. But that, and then also making sure you have the space for those word bubbles to go in. That always changes. Writing a story that you think is going to go neatly into every panel, and that always changes too. So it was really interesting to work around the challenges that come with that. And when you're doing it yourself, you're your own boss and your own worst enemy.
It's a bit of a pain,
yeah, totally.
Okay. So the next thing, obviously, is season 10 is coming out in the comics. Are you going to be writing any comics for them?
Nope. So far, it's kind of ambiguous.
Okay. Okay. Well, but you've not said no yet.
I haven't said no to anything. No.
Okay, so the next thing.
That's very vague. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It was a vague question.
Keep it very mysterious.
I lost my train of thought there for a second, so of course I had to. Yes.
Tricked him.
Yes. Yes.
I am related to one of the witch trial victims. So,
no way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, she wasn't a witch or anything. She was just a...
Oh, of course. No.
No, yeah, my 10th grade grandmother. So, and I live in Salem, Massachusetts right now. So that's going back to my familial... God, I can't talk.
Oh, wow.
I tried to sound smart for a second. Going back to my genealogical roots, I guess. So, yeah.
Yep, going back to your roots.
Totally. Spooky town.
Everyone's got roots. Mine are about 15 feet long to keep me from tipping over.
Yeah, you're one of the tallest people I've ever met. But yeah.
Believe it or not, you're one of the tallest people I've seen here.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
Oh, that never happens. I'm wearing my flat shoes too.
Okay, so who would you say your biggest influences are in writing?
For writing, Neil Gaiman. I know that's kind of always like a really kind of cop out, but he is amazing.
Yeah,
and I got to meet him once, and he's inspirational. He's very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely him. I mean, like I said, the scary stories to tell in the dark were always some of my favorites, and you know what Edward Gorey would write as well. Like he would write his own stories and illustrate that, and that's kind of like that's goals. That's exactly what I would love to do. So yeah, like I'm still kind of new into getting into writing, so it'll be interesting. I'm sure I'll find more influences as I go. Yeah,
I mean, there's these writers you mentioned, they're influenced by other writers as well.
Totally. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
like for example, Neil Gaiman was. One of his big influences was Terry Pratchett. Have you had any influence from Terry Pratchett?
Not as much. I need to kind of read more of his stuff. Yeah, I'm mostly just going through the Neil Gaiman route.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. If you ever want to read Terry Pratchett, start with Guards. That's a very good book.
Right. Guards. Cool. Yes. Yeah, I'll check that out.
I mean, the next question, obviously, this is something I've been put up to by my editor. Capper, please, I don't know why you do this. It was this. Who would win the three-way cage match between King Louis from The Jungle Book, Dr. Zaius, and the Librarian? All three orangutans.
Oh man, I'm only very certain of King Louis's strategy. Yeah. So I wouldn't be able to speak on the other two because I wouldn't know. They're very ambiguous to me. Yeah. But like I grew up watching The Jungle Book, so I'm gonna have to keep with King Louis. So yeah.
We have to ask. I always get. There's always a one joke question. I've
never been asked that before. That's really cool. I'll be thinking about that later to the night.
Oh no! What have I done?
Like I made the wrong choice. No.
Well, you could have made the worst one. I mean, you don't want to back Dr. Zaius.
I mean, that's true.
No, you may not like what you find.
That is very true. Yeah. Maybe I did make the right one.
Yes. You may have noticed I actually quoted a line from the...
That's so good. Yeah. It's been such a long day that like you could tell me my own name and I'd be like, no, it's not.
It's Edwina.
Is it? Wait, no, it's not. What is it?
Okay. So, well, we're going to wrap it up in a second. Okay, so, we may have asked some of these before. Favorite pony and least favorite pony?
Oh, man. Favorite pony's Rainbow Dash. She's my girl. And also Angel Bunny is honorary pony. Love him. Least favorite pony. Oh, my gosh. That's a tricky one. I'm not a big fan of Trixie. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not.
I'm sorry. Mostly it's from drawing her. I can't draw hats very well, and then that does not help her case at all. Okay. So,
So I picked up a copy of issue 82 earlier, and this we'll wrap up in a moment.
Cool.
With issue 82, I mean, unless you did the coloring, it works really well. It goes well with the lighting and everything.
Thanks.
Was there any particularly challenging scene in that to draw? I mean, for example, the three-headed Cerberus. I won't spoil it, but there's a three-headed Cerberus. Yeah. In this one, he looks a bit different to normal. This is another one. He looked black, completely black fur.
Yeah.
Was it difficult trying to find where the lighting would go on that? Not the lighting, the shading. Sorry.
The shading, yeah. So I just did the cover on that one. But yeah, the shading was tricky. It was mostly the trying to fit all of his heads in one area because he's just so big and Rarity's so small. So like the ratio on them, trying to get them both into one cover was probably the trickiest part.
That was
and then the foreshortening of where like his back is and like his shoulders was a little tricky too. So it's all just kind of like technical stuff that was the trickiest part, and then giving Rarity like an expression of just that was pretty fun though. That was a fun challenge. So
Do you have to draw any of it in layers, like Photoshop layers?
That one's all painted, so I painted it in layers. So there were layers.
what type of paint?
Acrylic. Yeah. So a lot of my covers, there's only been one watercolor cover, and that was the one with Applejack, who had the pie, and only because I had to get that one done so fast. I did it in watercolor, but everything else is acrylic, which I do use like watercolor. I do it in layers. It just stays in place better and isn't as fickle as watercolor is.
Yes.
So, yep. But no, that one was hand painted too. So, yeah.
Okay. What would you say your most challenging cover has been?
Oh man.
Because that one looked quite challenging.
That was really challenging. Yeah. Man, I feel like there was a pirate ship one way back with the sea ponies at the bottom, and the one that I did that's kind of like half pirate ship and half sea ponies, I painted all that, and I painted the sea ponies with the reference they gave me at the time, and handed it in, and then they're like, oh hey, they don't look like this anymore. So in my really crappy Photoshop skills, I had to go through my own painting, kind of cut that out, repaint half of it, stitch that back in, try to seam it together. So that's why it seems kind of halvesy, I guess.
Oh dear,
yeah, that one. And then I guess also when I first started doing more digital covers just to keep up with deadlines, there's one that's kind of a Napoleon Dynamite homage, and that was my first digital one. So I was kind of figuring out digital as I was going. So there's a lot of stuff in there that looked a little janky, but came out pretty good. There's a lot of my friends as ponies in there, and there's like Andy and Tony and Agnes and Jay in there,
But then that Napoleon Dynamite, he is by nature a bit janky.
Yeah, exactly. So it all kind of works out.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go now. Just one last thing. How have you been finding the city?
It's been awesome. I love Glasgow so much. Yeah, I'm covered in Macintosh art. So.
Have you? Macintosh, do you mean the flower?
No, Charles Rennie Macintosh and Margaret McDonald Macintosh. I'm getting a tattoo on Monday of another Macintosh thing. So, yeah, I love it.
Have you checked out Botanic Gardens yet? They're literally just over the road.
Not yet, no, but tomorrow is my kind of like go check out stuff day. Once I'm kind of caught up on sleep anyway. But I've seen like, the tea rooms, kind of walked around Sucky Hall Street and like Hope Street too has been pretty cool. Necropolis, oh my gosh, the Necropolis here is so cool. I love graveyards, so it's kind of spooky. But yeah, that was really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, I love Glasgow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last thing, do you have any advice for people who want to do cover art?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What's your biggest tip?
My biggest tip would be see if your local comic shop is doing retail incentives, retail exclusives, because then that way your comic shop will just have that cover, and that cover still has to go by the editor to be approved. And that's how I started in comics. Is I had a local comic shop back in New Hampshire that wanted covers just for their store. So I did those. You just have to have a comics store willing to kind of put that investment in.
Yes.
But then your cover will be seen by the editor because they have to send it into Hasbro or whoever the company is that you're being licensed from. Just keep up with your local comic shops, which you should be doing anyway because we need them.
Yes. Okay. So that's everything. Do you have any final words for Horse News?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you guys again. That's really it.
Oh, that reminds me. Last comment of the year. You're going to get sick of this in a minute. Very last question.
Sure.
What cons are you coming to next year?
Oh my gosh. So far, all the just stuff in the States right now. But Emerald City Comic Con, I'll definitely be at. Hoping for San Diego Comic Con. Always hoping for New York Comic Con. And so far, that's it. I'm kind of cutting back on shows because of the big projects that. So I'll be more focused on creating stuff next year. But I'll still have my Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, all that, and I'll be, being a goofball on there too. So
no pony comes next year?
So far, not right now.
Okay. Well, I mean, you have to wait till they ask you, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get invited, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Yeah.
Right?
We'd love to see you with more of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And like fans too, if you want to see comic artists, like tweet at your local comic store or comic convention. And then they'll know like who to bring out.
Yes, you got to be proactive and friendly. That's important.
Because we're just there hoping, and we can ask them all we want, but they'll just be like,
Yep. Okay. Now this is the absolute final thing. I'm so.
It's cool.
The Curb Your Enthusiasm theme is going to start playing in a second now.
No worries.
Yeah. So this year the convention's theme was mental health. And in fact, this year there's been a big spike in mental health awareness. Do you use drawing at all for any anxiety release or anything like that? I mean, because it can be used for that kind of...
Yeah, definitely. Right now it's anxiety from drawing because of deadlines. But I think with all these personal projects that I'll be working on, it will be a huge chunk of therapy for me to be able to, I'll be working on a project that's just drawing owls, which are my favorite animal, and I find a lot of relief in drawing owls, which sounds really weird, but they're my favorite.
It's the large sweeping curves on the eyes and things like that.
You can make them scary or cute, there's so many different kinds. But yeah, I will often doodle off to the side how I'm feeling. If I'm on a phone call, if it's going well, I'll start drawing little happy faces. Or if I'm like ready to go, it's just like a ring. So, drawing definitely really helps me kind of work through some of that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's been lovely to have you here. Thanks for coming. I mean, it helps raises more money for the charity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome. I mean, in this, in this kind of. Just the world we live in at the minute, well, always, but even more so these days. Mental health is never a bigger issue than ever before, and stuff like this whole fandom, all of this, just people working together to raise money for this sort of thing is more important than it's ever been. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. This is Photo for Horse News. Keep on cringing, keep on smiling, keep on doing stuff that makes you smile, keep on doing stuff that makes you cringe and then smile if you have that sort of sense of humor. Like watching this. It's not her, it's me. Man. But this. Okay, so this is the most important thing: is you people coming to these conventions and doing stuff like this. And I want to say thank you all. It's been a real blast. I'll be doing this again more next year. Last con of the season, last interview. Thank you very much. Good night.
Check it, a click hole in a donut shape. Clipping on them con badges so we know what plays and keep a press pass. Favorite pretty pony, probably press pass. Lower in the trilby on his eyes. How'd you guess that? Horse news, motherfucking horse news. Horse news, motherfucking horse news. In a game that's got this much manure to rifle through, you'd be smart to go to find a newer news cycle too. Horse news, motherfucking horse news. Horse news, motherfucking horse news. Today I'm posting up this song acting cocky.